Hello everyone, this is my first video of the year and I will be telling you what are my top 15 books that I read in 2015. Out of those 15 books that I'm going to mention, I am the proud owner of 10 of those in physical format, one of them in digital format, and 4 I only rented them from my school library and I've already given them back so I don't have them with me anymore, but they will be properly acknowledged. To make this list, I went to my Goodreads account and went through the books that I read last year. So I'm not going to mention the books in order of liking, rather in chronological orders. The first book that I'm going to mention is the one that I read earlier during the year, and so on. So to begin with, the first book, Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. This was the first book that I read last year. It was during the winter break before going back to school, so I was still in a Christmassy mood, and this was just like an old Christmas story, so it was really pleasant to read. Next we have The Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey, the second book in the fifth wave. I've actually bought this book back in 2014 but didn't read it until 2015. It was a great continuation for the story. I can wait to see what's going to come in the next book. There are a lot of things in this book that are so worth reading. Next we go with The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. Now, what's not to like about this book? What's not to like about Magnus freaking Bane? He's the warlock. He's not a warlock, he's the warlock. I'm getting to know all his stories and his adventures and different points of view. Tessa, Will, Camille, Katarina, Ragnar, Jocelyn, Luke, Valentine, Robert, Maurice, Clary, Alec, Jace, Isabel, and many other characters.
It's just so good.
That's the only thing that I read of Cassandra Clare this year, and I would like to have more of that. I know more books are coming, so I'm really looking forward for them this year. Next we go to Will Grayson, again by John Green, but this time with David Levithan. Same thing that happened with Let It Snow. It's the thing with two different authors write different stories that at some point they collide and then they all move forward in one single story, but getting to see the different styles of both authors and how they manage to make their characters move and grow. That's the reason I liked it. I like the way John Green writes with different authors to make a whole story. Next we go with The Giver. The whole world where this happens, oh my god. Oh my god. I feel like it's a way like a Divergent sort of world, but more organized, but still dystopian. Immediately after it, I watched the movie, and I have to say I was pretty disappointed of that adaptation. Again, I had just finished it like 10 minutes before, so maybe I was still high on the emotions that the book caused me, and maybe I was not being really objective, but seriously. Although the decision of having Taylor Swift on the movie was on point. The next book is Deception Point by Dan Brown. I know a lot of people had already read this book like a decade ago or something, but I hadn't, and I just did. And better late than never. Next book is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Aller Science. It's really good. I really enjoyed it, the way of writing the whole story. It's not only part of my top 15 books of last year, but it's also a solid top 10. Next we go with Carrie by Stephen King. This is only the third Stephen King book that I've read, the other two being The Running Man and Misery, and I have to say I liked it more than The Running Man, but not as much as Misery. I had not seen the Carrie movies yet, but I already knew what it was about. Next, The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie. This is the first Agatha Christie book that I've ever read. My dad had already told me that I should read some Agatha Christie books at some point. He read them in high school, I think. From what I've heard, all the books are really good. I have no comparison point because this is the only one that I've read, but it was really good. This is some fine, classy, old school plot twist, that I can tell you. Next, I'm going into some less serious business. The Isle of the Lost by Melissa de la Cruz. There are very few things in life that I like more than a book with visual aid, and this one is just so cool and so pretty and so awesome, and oh my god, it's in the island with all the villains of Disney, Holy Mother of Mickey Mouse. Next we skip to The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. This is a saga that I've wanted to read for some time now, and I just started it. I have not read the other books yet, but this one is great. I have heard what it was about, some kids with magical abilities. I had no idea how it was going to develop. It's simply great. I already have the second book, but I have not read it because I want to have the third book at hand, so I don't have to wait between one and the other. I'm not going to go into details in case you haven't read it. You totally have to. I'm just going to say that the end was a little bit cliche. However, it's only the first book. There are 2 more books after this, so I'm totally giving them a chance. Next, and one of my solid top 5 books of 2015, Cinder by Marissa Mayer. This thing is amazing. A lot of people had already read the whole saga. I think it was less than a month ago that the last book, Winter, came out. It was a similar feeling that I had reading Cinder while I was reading The Isle of the Lost, because it's also like the stories that I grew up with. But while The Isle of the Lost is the story for children, this is still YA, and it's like science fiction, and there's action, and there's robots and androids and technology, and oh my god. Knowing the story of Cinderella, there were some parts that were predictable. However, the story is so well written, so well combined in a futuristic environment that it just gets interesting, and it's a new way of reading the same story. Next we go with Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, the second book in the Red Rising trilogy. By the time I read this one, it has been more than 1 year since I read Red Rising, so I was a little lost at first. It took me like a good 1/3 of the book to get back on track with the story. I had to go to Google to remind myself what had happened in the first book, who was who, what the hell was going on. But once I was back on track, this story is so intense, and that finale just left me craving for the next book. Next, Scarlet by Marissa Mayer, the second book in the Lunar Chronicles after Cinder. I like that we have a different perspective. I like that we have more characters. I like that we see from a different part of the world, not just the Eastern Commonwealth. However, with Cinder, there were scenes in which I literally felt my heart racing, which didn't happen with Scarlet. And I have to say, the character of Wolf confuses me a lot, and I still don't know what the hell is going to happen with him after this. And last but not least, and also the very last book that I read last year, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. How do I even describe this book? I think what the author did, what Ransom Riggs did, was simply amazing. Like getting all of the photographs all together, choosing from thousands of photographs and making a story around them. Oh my god, I had heard about this book in other channels of BookTube and in Goodreads. I had no idea that it had photos on it, and I had certainly no idea that the way it had been done was around the photos. The photos were before the story, and oh my god, it's great. And having all the photos in the story just made it more realistic, made it more easy to get into this world. This is a great book. This is also a solid top 5. And that's it. Those are my top 15 books of 2015. What do you think, guys? Have you read any of these books? Or what were your favorite books that you read last year? You can leave a comment down there. I want to know your opinion. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great 2016, and I will see you next time.